Do you love New York City? Well, if you're an NYC lover, then Shanghai, China should be your next vacation spot. These two cities are very similar and are both known for being the city that never sleeps. Want to know the exact location of your destination before you hop on a plane and arrive? Ever want to see where we get many of our everyday food products such as rice, corn, beans, soybeans, and much more? Then a trip to Shanghai, China is right up your alley. After all, it is the world's second largest economy. Make sure to bring your pepper spray because crime and unemployment are very large issues in China. Also remember to bring cash to convert into renminbi, which is China's currency. Want to learn a little bit more about China's government before committing to a trip overseas? Currently, China is working on a few ways. Finding a way to fit money and jobs into the mass population, keeping its job growth of immigrants and citizens entering jobs, making crimes less of a problem, trying to control the economy transformation in regards to the environmental damage. Fun fact that China is the world's fastest aging country in the world. China is also working on becoming less dependent on their exports. Shanghai is an amazing place with some very diverse features, from being known for its glitz and glamour to having the most influential economic, financial, international trade, culture, and science and technology. Shanghai has very few hills but has many small mountains and offshore islands. Their largest lake is the Daishan Lake, which is a freshwater lake but is a horrible habitat for wild animals and lacks energy and mineral resources, so you will not need to bring your swim gear for this trip. One of their most prized man-made features is the Shanghai World Financial Center. Wondering what family life is like in this amazing city? Well, parents normally have one child. It is very family-oriented, and it is also very family-oriented. So don't forget to bring your kids and nieces or nephews on your trip to Shanghai.
In Shanghai, China, there's a big environmental concern on their water quality and how much pollution is going to the rivers and lakes. The Huangpu River in Shanghai is Shanghai's main water source, and 80% of delta landform is drained by the Huangpu River catchment. Most of the water bodies in Shanghai are moderately to severely polluted, and the main pollutant is ammonia and nitrogen. Other toxic substances would include phenol, cyanide, mercury, arsenic, and chromium. Some describe the water as a chemical cocktail composed of raw sewage, toxic urban waste, and huge amounts of industrial discharges. The three main sources of discharges are industrial discharges, domestic sewage, and non-point sources. The average amount of domestic sewage discharged in Shanghai is around 100 million tons a year. But don't be turned away from this phenomenal city yet, because in order to reduce the amount of discharge, the Shanghai Environmental Protection Bureau has begun a zoning system which sets objectives for each part of the waterway along the Suzhou Creek, which will intake around 2.6 million people, and then to discharge it after treatment into the Yangtze estuary. Currently, there's a second part to this project, but it's much more expensive. They will collect large industrial and domestic waste from industry and households that are being discharged into the Huangpu River, and then will dump these wastes after primary treatment into the East China Sea. By working on these projects, Shanghai is slowly improving their water quality in order to make it safer to use on a daily basis. On a branch of Huangpu River, the main water source in Shanghai, China, there were dozens of dead swine floating along the water. Workers moved fast to try to remove these animals from the waterway. Nearly 6,000 have been removed so far. Pigs and piglets floating around in plastic bottles and reeds is a very disturbing sight to those living in the area. This same creek that contains these dead pigs is a source of 20 to 30% of their tap water. A woman by the name of Miss Wang, who has lived here her whole life, remembers seeing farmers dump pig carcasses into the river when she was a small child. She also tells about her walks along the river that are accompanied by the stench of rotting fish. The cause of these deaths of the pigs remains unknown, but researchers have found a disease in water that affects pigs but not humans. Local environment authorities declared the water is completely fine to drink, yet most are still unsure about the quality of this water. Though the water may not be the best in Shanghai, this won't affect your trip at all. While exploring Shanghai, you'll encounter many different religions being practiced. Some include Buddhists, Taoists, Muslims, and Christians. Other groups may not be allowed to practice in this city. There are different places to worship, such as temples, mosques, and churches, which are open to the public, yet public worship is not encouraged or supported whatsoever. The climate around Shanghai, China ranges greatly from subarctic in the northern region to subtropical in the southern. Summer floods are caused a lot due to monsoons in the south. These can kill up to thousands of people each year. In the northern, there are sandstorms that are becoming more common due to desertification. Shanghai's topography includes open terrain around 4 meters above sea level that is crisscrossed with multiple natural waterways of the Taoyu drainage basin. The tributary of Shanghai is the Huangpu River. Another major water source is the Wusong Creek. In Shanghai, most people speak Chinese or Mandarin. Most Chinese can read, write, and speak Mandarin due to the teaching of this language in school. The large economy of China is offset by its population, meaning that the real gross domestic product per capita is at the same level of a developing country. The overcome is rising, yet wealth is not quite equally distributed. Shanghai is a very high-class city and contains many features that differentiate it from others around it.
Want to visit some schools and learn about schooling in Shanghai while on your vacation? Well, you're in luck because there are over 1,500 universities in China. In Shanghai, their schooling system is much like ours in the United States. Children go to school 5 days a week for several hours. Parents are very involved in their kids' school life. For example, keeping up on their child's grades, helping with homework, and getting tutors if needed. But unlike the United States, high school is very hard to get into, and unlike primary school, you have to pay to attend. College is also very hard to get into, and just like the SATs, PSATs, and a high GPA in the United States, to get into college, students in China have to take tests to get into college. Good thing China has a 90% literacy rate, but once you get into college, your parents will kindly pay for your tuition. China's government is not similar to ours. The president has a 5-year term and is elected by 2,987 members of the National People's Congress. But in more rural villages, the people elect the local leaders. Make sure to visit the office of the president or at least get a postcard because this is a very symbolic place. Cell phone use and internet use is a big part of Shanghai's infrastructure for multiple reasons. Shanghai is a very busy city, so having a good source of communication is very critical in order to keep a city like this running. From a business standpoint, being able to get information across quickly by using the internet is a very helpful tool for keeping everyone up to date on what you want them to know. Also, being able to research someone by calling them allows them to find people in emergencies or in everyday activities. Lastly, being able to reach information for different things such as the internet and finding out about a new product or researching different companies in order to know what one may be looking into or buying is very important for them.
Are you looking for some fun while visiting the energetic city of Shanghai, China? Well, you're in great luck because Shanghai has so many different recreational activities that locals play all the time. Although Chinese may not be very outdoors oriented, that doesn't mean that they are full of fun games. Some of them may enjoy being outside though, and when they do, their time is spent mostly walking or doing some activity in a park. Some even like to exercise in the mornings before they must go to work, even as early as 5:30. So if you like to wake up at the crack of dawn, find a buddy and go for a run. Chinese were always told, train for 10 minutes every day and you'll be able to serve the cause of socialism for 10 extra years. If running at 5:30 in the morning doesn't quite catch your interest, don't worry, there's plenty more for you to do. Ever heard of urban mountaineering? This is where people use ropes and carabiners to climb skyscrapers and pitch tents to sleep on the roof. How crazy is that? But doesn't it sound like fun? Shuttlecock is another game that Chinese enjoy playing in their free time. This game is where they use a weighted feather-topping shuttlecock and try to kick it over a net with any part of your body except of the arm. One more game that's popular in Shanghai is croquet. That's maybe more popular among the elders, but who said that youngsters couldn't play as well? Although you may want to keep an eye out because players can play very aggressively. This game is played with 3 wickets and a ball. There are so many different activities that can help you become a part of this city. Now it's your turn to choose what you want to do. Shanghai is the right place for you and your family with a variety of sightseeing, outdoor activities, historical features, and current events. You will never have a dull moment in Shanghai. Now pack your bags and welcome to Shanghai.